All right, so are we rolling? Are we hot?
Check, mic check.
We're live. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 88. I mean, forget which brand we're on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Everything That I Know podcast. I'm your host, Jamey Whitley. I know absolutely nothing, but the man who does is sitting beside me in his new glasses. The one, the only, SrVerde X.
Greene.
X,
this is my new look.
X,
Greene
X.
steel.
Well, actually, you mentioned Greene. Do you know what today is? Really, do you know what tomorrow is?
Friday, the 9th of October. Yeah, no, it's just a day. What's up?
Well,
it's an important day to somebody somewhere, I'm sure. And if it is,
well, I'm going to come back to that,
have a great
actually.
day.
I'll come back to Greene later, because first, there's a really big topic that happened this week that I feel like we need to...
Is it good or bad? There's a lot of bad stuff this week, too.
Well, Eddie Van Halen.
Passed away on my father's 90th birthday.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Celebrate one life, another one ends.
Well, you're always going to remember both dates.
No kidding, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
So, like, what did Van Halen mean to you growing up? Because I was like 86. I was born in 86.
Everything, you know, like Van Halen was, I mean, golly, they were the epitome of the fun California rocker. You know, not necessarily a hair band, although they had the long hair. They weren't in that makeup and shit like that. But man, they were just good rock. It was all happy fun, in your face, you know. So
you never really realize how big your sphere is?
By the way, my dad's great too. But we went into the Van Halen thing but not to just brush over that, but my father turned 90 years old. He's not in the greatest health. As most 90-year-olds aren't.
Right.
But still hanging on, still has a sense of humor, still,
Good.
You know, still Pop. I'm still Bub. That's our little code names. And
happy birthday, Papa Verde.
yeah, Papa Verde.
So, you know, pink is usually synonymous with breast cancer. Purple.
Awareness, yep, month. October's the breast cancer awareness month, right?
Yes, but it's also green.
Greene. Oh.
Green is for mental health awareness, and tomorrow is World Mental Health Day.
October 10th?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
World Mental Health Day.
Yeah. So
Hey, brother.
I thought that would make
Shenanigans.
have
Never
a nice
ends.
day. I thought that would make a really cool topic for today. It's talking about mental health.
Okay.
And how we've had to deal with that. Because actually, I have a victory story. I went to the doctor today.
Yeah.
Because I take anxiety medicine.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm starting to taper off of it now, as of today. So,
Nice. Oh, as of today?
Yeah.
So tomorrow's going to be total shit.
Yeah, I know.
On World Mental Health Awareness Day.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I'm going to have a
It's not
sappy 300-word post tomorrow.
I love it. It's great.
We actually have a high school here that 1 in 3 kids think about hurting themselves on a daily basis.
Man, I believe that.
And also, like, there's so much validation in the world that people feel like they need. If they're not getting the validation, they feel like that's... I mean, because essentially, you know, kids now are grown up in the social media age where everything's based on the number of likes you get, number of friends you have.
Yeah, and they're just following a pattern, right? So if you're an influencer out there and you're sitting on the beach with your, you know, drink in hand and you're taking a picture and every 13-year-old's trying to emulate that when they go to Florida and sit on the beach. They're trying to emulate that, and it's just a false sense of representation,
Right.
You know, of who one is, really.
Right.
I was interesting. I have a color chart I reference a lot when we're doing different logo creations and things like that from the media side. Green is the color of nature. It symbolizes growth, harmony, freshness, and fertility.
Oh,
So that's kind of the 101 on the color green
nice.
as it pertains to how we as humans visualize it and what it represents.
So, like, I mean, I know my past with mental health, but like we kind of talked on it last time too, about how, you know, your childhood, you know, you would come home, you know, make some Wolf Brand chili,
Yeah.
sit down.
You remember the brand. That's pretty funny.
Sit down and well, I'm a branding guy. You sit down and watch Scooby-Doo,
Scooby-Doo,
you know,
Gilligan's Island.
and then sell Jolly Ranchers. But I mean, could you imagine if you had to do that now with social media and cell phones all the time? I mean, could you see how that would make things worse?
No, see, I don't. I think that we're more aware of everybody's false realities. And that's what most of the representation is on social media. It's a false reality. kids are using phrases like, I'll have to check my calendar and get back to you, because they're so busy, right? Yeah.
No, these are probably your kids, though.
No, these are not my kids.
Oh,
These
okay.
are what my kids are coming home telling me that I invited so-and-so over for a play date, and he was like, I'd have to check my calendar. And I'm like, what? And he's like, what does that even mean?
Because I could hear one of your kids saying this.
Well, no. But anyway, it's this false sense of reality. And so the phone itself, the digital whatever dive where you go into the programs and the applications and all that, it's escapism. Just like Scooby-Doo was for me in the late 80s, early 80s, late 70s. That was an escape from everything. It's just come in, you numb out to that. People watch television. People get on their phones and do all that. The social media aspect of it is, if you can't sift through all the bullshit and you recognize the bullshit as reality, then I think it affects your perception of yourself, your own status, where you are, and that kind of stuff. But if you're someone like me who sees through all the bullshit and that's majority of it's fake, it's a false reality, then you just look through it and you look for the content that has purpose. The problem is that most young minds don't have the quality of thought to decipher that. And so they're embattled within themselves to try to compete with that and try to emulate that. Just like we emulated our stars, You hold the football a certain way because Staubach did, or you held the bat a certain way because Reggie Jackson did, and it's like, thank you, and all that kind of stuff. So it's emulation, and it's a part of human nature. We can't help it. As parents and leaders, though, I think we have an obligation to our own children and the children in our community to try to help them navigate and sift through that, give them the tools, the thought processes and things to know that that's false, so that when they do get on Instagram, it's not like a self-depraving, 30-minute episode or 4-hour degrading of themselves based on what they see. It's like, oh, that's a pretty picture, and I get that it's fake. It's not the real life of that person, for the most part, because most of them aren't. I love the celebrities and the influencers who do post real stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Like, the more real it is. I mean, I'm okay with, like, photoshopping a creative, but not photoshopping a picture to make your boobs look bigger or your ass look smaller or your muscles look bigger. That's just not right, right?
This is totally not photoshopped.
That's right. So what I'm getting at is, like, we just need to do a better job of that. Now, you talk about mental health and stuff like that, and the resiliency from my childhood that kind of embedded itself in me because of those experiences. I mean, it could have gone dark. I could have went the other direction. I could have been like strung out on drugs and stuff like that because I was escaping and trying to get away from that as a teenager and into my young adulthood. But fortunately, I was self-aware enough to not go down those roads in the depth of travel that, defined my outcome. I mean, yeah, did I do drugs? Yeah. Drink? Yeah. Go do stupid shit? Absolutely. But never to the point to where it was like, I can't get out of this matrix. Like I can step out anytime I want. And so a lot of young people get into these depressive states and stuff like that, and they just can't get out. And that's what mentors and other community leaders and things like that are supposed to do, is supposed to talk and speak and give everybody your experience and your motivation and your insights, which is what we talk about here, so that you have a purpose. And even if you just change one person's trajectory, it's worth it. There's been people in my world that I've spoken to before, or I've been, a part of their lives in some way, shape, or form. And down the road, they've committed suicide. They've checked out. Do I feel like what I did wasn't meritable and didn't have any purpose? No, absolutely not. Their situation was darker than I could shed light on, evidently, at the moment. And some of those, they weren't like days later or weeks later, but down the road, even as recent as the young man Drake Scott. I saw him 4 days before, 4 days before his tragedy. And, I talked about this with one of my colleagues. He was at the pool where we were, and he came by, and my boys liked him. They talked to him all the time, and he would tell them, look at that six-pack. He'd talk to the boys in an encouraging way. They're 9 and 7, and was always friendly to my daughter and things like that. Always friendly to me. And we had a brief conversation, probably lasted less than 3 minutes. But in those 3 minutes, he said some things that, as a leader, as a mentor, as someone who knows those signs, I heard some things, but it's kind of, you overlook it. Say how things going. Hey man, what's going on? How you doing? Oh man, some things are good, but some things are real bad. Light switch, trigger, and I overlooked that. So did I have anything to do with that? Absolutely not. He was in a spot he couldn't get out of. But had I taken a moment to recognize that and say, hey man, I'm sorry to hear about that. I've been through some rough spots too, and I'll be thinking about you, and sometime maybe we can get together and talk about it. Maybe that one little spark might have turned it around for him, but who knows? So you can't not participate because you don't know the outcome, and you can't participate and expect or diminish the outcome based on your involvement. You just got to do. You got to be, humble and human and compassionate, and pause long enough in your day and everything that's going on around your world to listen to those things and really try to be aware. And if nothing else, it takes 30 seconds to say, hey, I've been through some stuff too, and I'm sorry to hear that for you. Here's a song that always picks me up. Here's a book I read one time that I really liked. Look it up. I mean, just little tidbits. You never know if that little tidbit's going to be the tipping point for a change.
For sure.
And a mindset change or an emotional change. So that was pretty heavy on me for a couple days, because it was just like, had I, shoulda, coulda, woulda,
Yeah.
But then I look back over the decades that I've lived and all the people who have had tragedies like that. There's been other times when there were people that I intently, dialogued with and got deep with and experientially went through some things with them, and they seemed fine for a season, and then poof, they were gone. Right.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, I spent all that time with them, I guess I didn't do any good. No, you did good for the moment.
Right.
It wasn't good enough, or it wasn't enough because they needed more than you had the capacity to give, or this community had a capacity to give. And so we can't stop pouring in. We can't stop reaching out because of that.
Yeah.
So you should always do that, and never think that every smile that comes out of your face is not meritable to someone. Could change somebody's trajectory. Just a freaking smile, or a simple thank you, or opening a door, anything like that.
Right.
So no matter how small. So just
Well,
be a good dude or a good,
totally get that,
good lady, and you can sleep at night.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, I think it's really, I think the mental health awareness that's going on right now is something that it's not really a political issue, because I feel like both sides agree on that it's an issue. And I think more people are talking about it now. The stigma behind mental health is kind of going away because more people are talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think that people realize there's a need out there to help everybody. And I think that's a good win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Well, we're finally admitting that we're fucked up.
Yeah.
Publicly.
Yeah.
Instead of just quietly in the background, holding it all in. And some people can hold it in for a lifetime and never bust, never give in, never give up. Right. They just hold it all in. I don't know. Is that bad? Is that healthy? Are they the best version of themselves doing that? Probably not. But then some people, I mean, they can't hold it in and they break, or they turn to other things. They turn to different kinds of addictions, different kinds of things to numb the pain and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, talking about it is key. And you can talk about it on a social platform if you're strong enough to feel the weight of the hammer that's going to come down from all the people around you that may, have something to say about that, which would be total bullshit if somebody's confessing they have mental health and somebody else is like hating on them because of it.
Yeah.
You weak piece of shit. Like, who's that person?
Yeah, I know.
But if you're just quietly doing it with one other party or two other parties or a teacher or a mentor or a counselor or anything, you've got to get the help, because every life is precious and matters. And it's not good to, we've seen a lot of celebrities over the last few years. I think about Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade and Cornell and Bedingfield and all these different people, that are celebrities. And then local people right here in our city, inside our community, of all ages, of all socioeconomic backgrounds, And it's just bad vibes, man. I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's always, I never hurt when I was on stage,
Yeah.
and so that was an outlet for me. And people don't really realize that. I mean, Robin Williams, another example.
Yeah.
People don't realize that people that make people laugh all the time and think they're so happy, but there's so much pain that comes behind that.
Yeah.
And I think it it meant a lot to me when I recently had a family member go through depression, anxiety, and I got to be there for them. And now they're there for me because we've gone through that. We've shared that. We know what it's like.
Yeah.
And we know talking about it is how we get through it and being there for each other.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you say that because, I'm going to use you as an example and draw a couple parallels because I think it's an interesting conversation. Most people who seemingly have it together either don't think they have mental illness or don't know anybody with mental illness, and they don't know how to deal with it, how to navigate it, how to communicate with those parties. But I think there's this mindset out there that says you must have had to go through something traumatic in order to have these issues. But, you were the son of a band director in a small town, seemingly happy family, parents still together, love each other, like this, what we would call a holistic kind of existence from birth until today with a few traumatic adult experiences. But I mean, you're struggling with some of this stuff from time to time, right? And so it doesn't matter if you grew up on the streets, literally daughter or son of a crackhead couple, or in suburbia, and there's no level of severity one or the other. It's just a confession that, hey, there's something going on here, and I need to talk to somebody. But it doesn't have to come from like some traumatic experience.
No.
And I think most people view it as, well, something must have happened to them or bad to them in order for that to happen. No, it's just like it's time, it's pressure, it's the environment, it's social, it's here at school, it's there at church or wherever you go hang. I mean, so it's a lot of different influences on that.
Well, and I think there's a lot of times people will weigh somebody's motivation for why they're experiencing that pain. They're victimizing the victim for them. Ooh, that was good. And so it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like, it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire and you've got it all together, or if you're living on the streets. Somebody pisses in your Cheerios, it ain't gonna matter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody has their different level of pain and things that have happened to them, and there really isn't a comparison. At the end of the day, it still has the same end result.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, a brain and a mind and an emotional status that's in depressed state, it doesn't matter how one got there.
Right.
It just matters that you're there and you need help to get back up and get out of it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Victimize the victim. You can have that.
Yeah, you can run with that.
That's my give, serve, repeat of the day.
Yeah, that's good. That's
so good. I guess to bring us back to a lighter note, well, first, if you're experiencing mental health issues at all, just talk to somebody. There's plenty of people out there. You can DM us. We'll connect you with them. We'll say hi. We'll give you some love. But definitely know you're not alone.
Yeah, and I don't believe that, just the state of depression and self-depravity is the only state of what I would consider mental illness. I mean, a lack of motivation, being like completely demotivated to just to the point that you don't care what you smell like or look like or what kind of income you have or that kind of stuff.
That was me last week.
You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I know, but I'm just saying there's different levels and different ways to look at it. There's just this like, and I'm sure there's a whole lot more technical stuff out there than I'm putting out right now. This is not technical. This is just my opinion, everything that I know. And so I've been in places before, states of mind and places in my life over the journey where I just didn't give a shit. My weight.
Oh, yeah.
And that's to me, like, that's something that you check out on, and it's a state of mind, and I think it's all tied together, and it's just one other thing I will add is that we feel like, a lot of times you talk about different viewpoints and different philosophies and things like that, and everybody's heard the old Buddhist adage of all of life is suffering, and so we've talked about it here. Suffering produces character. Suffering produces, like drive and hustle and tenacity and get up and go-ness. And so I'm not saying that all of life is suffering, but I really don't think all of life is happiness either.
No.
Right? So the problem with some of the young people and how they view social media is it's only good, happy stuff. And they view that as, if I don't have a happy existence from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, I'm mad, I'm depressed, I'm sad about something. Right? But that's not the state we're supposed to live in. We're supposed to live in ebb and flow in all of these emotions. We have all of these emotions for a reason, to experience them, And it's just, you can't get locked down in one and you can't get locked down in another one. But we're not meant to be happy all the time, I don't think. I think happiness and joy is something to be experienced, but I think it comes and goes. I just don't, and so then you get a lot of people chasing. I was thinking about that because a while ago you said something about when you're on stage, it's great. Yeah, the applause is a joyous, happy moment, and you're elated, and then you deflate when you come down.
Well, I think, but not just that. I think my mission for going on stage is for that 1 second and I'm making somebody laugh. Mm-hmm. They're not thinking about their family member dying. They're not thinking about the abuse they're having at home.
Right.
That one moment they've escaped.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm focused on, is bringing that to people on stage.
Right. But when that moment's over,
through life,
you're in their shoes.
Exactly.
Now you're thinking about the death. You're thinking about the sad part. You're thinking about the stuff you had to deal with. You come off that high after that noble position of helping them escape. And now who's helping you escape?
Exactly.
You see, that's where the medication and the counseling and that kind of stuff comes in to help.
Right.
And then you ebb and flow inside those things in order to live a decent existence. Yeah. And hopefully the goal is for me, my goal with all of this is to motivate people beyond execution and hustle and drive to where that's past and now they're doing more.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to motivate you every single day.
Right.
You should get motivated, and then the things that you're doing should be self-motivating, right? So you should be driven, and then the things that you're doing should drive you to do more. Then, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you can't just continually just be motivated and then go down and be motivated and go down and be motivated.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Well,
you
that's
have to
like
move past that initial into your own space and create your own stuff. Come back and touch me, come back and listen and touch on the content we're producing from time to time. Yeah, because I'm growing too, and I'm further down the road than you are.
Yeah,
and so you should come back and see where I'm at in 10 months from now or 2 years from now, right?
Yeah,
because you may have passed me, and I'll be like, oh, I learned that shit already, or you may be like, oh, that's the next step, cool, and just bounce right with it, So anyway,
yeah, and so today's actually kind of a cool victory for me, and we'll see how it goes the next month, but. Last week, I didn't give a shit. And I binge ate like crazy because that's my go-to. Yeah. When I don't care, I just binge eat. And so I was like, all right, I got to do something. So I hadn't talked to my counselor in forever. Called him up, realized I had a problem, needed to do something, needed to take action.
Yeah.
Called him. We talked through a lot of stuff. I've been on the dosage of my anxiety medication for 5 years now.
Same dosage.
Wow. So talked to my doctor this morning, and we're going to try and taper off of that.
That's cool.
Because everything's kind of running good.
Yeah.
I know how to handle these things when they come up. But it may be a thing where we have too much medication going that's kind of keeping us lethargic and not wanting to do anything.
Yeah.
So, I think today's kind of a cool victory that I'm coming off some of that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So are you nervous about it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So you have anxiety about coming off the anxiety medication?
That's what my counselor actually told me. He goes, dude, you got more anxiety about coming off anxiety medicine than you do when you actually got on anxiety medicine.
Well, I mean, because it's the unknown, right? You don't want to get, and hopefully you're self-aware enough that you don't get tripped up and you're like, oh crap, I need a half a pill or
well, it sucks
something.
Because I don't think people realize, I think there's a lot of people that, and I'm not suicidal by any means, but you hear people that say, oh, well, that was selfish. No, you're selfish.
Oh, I hate hearing that.
Because here's the thing.
Yeah, that's
you don't know what
cool.
they were feeling. I mean, sometimes the anxiety that I get, like if I don't take my anxiety medicine, the withdrawal from it is like going down a 3-lane freeway. You're in the middle lane going 30 miles an hour. Everyone around you in traffic is going 90 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
So it's like you're at a standstill and everything around you is moving fast.
Wow.
It sucks.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my children has a situation also where I don't want to go too deep. It's kind of personal. I'll talk about it someday, but I may have mentioned it before. But the doctor described the medication and how it would help everything be centered instead of kind of chaotic like that.
Yeah.
And it was a really interesting description because when you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
You know, I think we have science and we have, medications and things like that come from science to better enhance the human existence. Mm-hmm. And if a pill makes you smarter, take it. If a pill makes you happy, take it. In dosages that make sense, right. Non-addictive phrases, right. So you can, but don't, don't look at something and have a negative tone with it before you actually understand it, like you said with people in the medication stuff. Yeah, and it's funny you say that statement about how when people do commit suicide, I call it a tragedy. I hate to even use that word. Right. It's just so serious. There's so many different viewpoints on that, and you know what? It's sad. It's a life that disappeared, and that life was, full of energy, and even if it was negative energy or slow energy, it was still energy, mm-hmm. And to know that party is no longer here and never will be here again, and did what they could for society or whatever. Because so many people, when that happens to somebody, very rarely do people get up at those memorials and go, "That son of a bitch, I'm so glad he did that or she did that," right? Mm-hmm. They don't do that. They get up and go, "Oh, every day he was so kind."
Right.
Who knew? Or every day she was so generous. Who knew? Mm-hmm. Some people may be like, yeah, gosh, they sure spend a lot of time alone. Now I understand some of the characteristics, but nobody gets up and tears that departing party away to pieces. They get up and say all the cool stuff about them. And had those people had those views and voiced those views about those parties prior to their demise, they might still be here.
Yeah.
And maybe not. Maybe some people are in such a dark place, no matter how many times you high five them, they're like, "I'm out."
Right.
Right. But it's so sad. It breaks my freaking heart. So many people have disrespect for the human condition, and the fact that when somebody's gone, they have the audacity to say things like "that was selfish," or "how dare he," or "how dare she," mm-hmm. or it's tragic. And there's no doubt that they leave a wake of terror behind them, because mm-hmm. It's just all these empty thoughts that the parties left behind will never be able to close.
Right.
Like I talked about, if I'd have just said this, or if I'd have just done that, or if I'd have, you don't know.
Right.
So you
exactly.
can't beat yourself up over it.
Right.
You just don't know. And, but to degrade a party after they have passed, no matter what the condition, I just don't think is cool. It's definitely not something I would do. The only instance I can think of where, somebody was like probably worthy of celebrating their demise and exit from this planet is when you have some evil person that's, serial killer or, warlord or somebody that just wreaked havoc on mankind and killed, stealed, and destroyed.
Right.
Then people are like, applaud. Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But not for some innocent female or male who was young or old and chose that path.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, let's all get happy. Let's all get medicated and happy, man. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of stuff too that a lot of new research surrounding psychedelics, mushrooms and LSD and all those kinds of things. Of course,
Panama Red.
Yeah, Panama Red. Their science is once again allowed to explore these things, and if we would just let science be science and do its thing, more good than harm will come out of it. But they're using low dose psychedelics and other derivatives and those kinds of things to help people with manic depression and bipolar disorders and mental health and all this kind of stuff. And for some people, that's great. That's what they should be doing. Again, science is here, and we discover to enhance the human condition. We use science to cure disease. We should use science to better our conditions as well. Psychedelics and all that kind of stuff, I'm totally down. Whatever, make it go. Let's do it. If it makes people happy and better versions of themselves, because a happy human is someone that can give, serve, and repeat. Ooh, bam. Did you see that?
Was good.
Just branded that.
That was good. And that's a really good segue, because what is 88 Realty doing to add value to our market?
Let me just tell you, buddy, 88 Realty in a whole of itself, and a culture of people inside the real estate industry is fundamentally going to change. It already is in small increments, but it's fundamentally going to change the transactional experience for everybody involved. You know what I stand for, and as CEO of that company, my goal is to proliferate that inside the organization, to create a culture from the admin side to the sales side to the closing side to the client side. Everybody wins in that instance. And so it takes a while to build culture. It takes activation of ideas, implementation of policies and procedures and all that kind of stuff. And if you'd have asked me 2 years ago, or a little over 2 years ago, because we were April of 18 is when we launched. If you would have asked me at that time, where do you think you'll be in 2 years? I probably would have said a lot further than we are today, because I had really lofty goals. But I am not disappointed in where we are as a company, and at the least. But I am extremely excited about the next 6 to 12 months as we begin to really start to tap into things that we've been creating in the background, and how we can really give, serve, and repeat, do it all over again, basically.
Yeah.
So the three words are give, serve, repeat, right?
Right.
Give, obviously, serve, obvious, and then repeat. So you just do that over and over and over and over and over and over. So we're constantly giving, we're constantly serving, and I'm still figuring out ways that I can give and serve from the top down inside the organization. And we're doing that through new ideals of print media, of audio and video media, implementation of social media things, and that kind of stuff that we're pulling together. And I really think the next 6 months is going to be probably a pretty good time to be around. And then as that activates and begins to bear fruit, the latter 6 months, that 12-month window, I think you're going to see, like this time next year, I think we'll be going, can you believe, and that looks like not only in sales, I'm not talking about numbers as much as I'm talking about agent retention, recruitment, office openings, presence in the marketplaces of different areas where we're working and dabbling now, but we'll be fully present in a number of capacities, things like that. So
yeah, which, humble brag, remember I had a goal of 3 million in my first year.
You did. You crushed it.
I did.
Yeah, and that's so badass.
Let's see what we can do after that. But so you're mentioning print media. Mm-hmm. Do you have an example in front of you that you might like to show?
So we started a magazine during a pandemic. Anyway, the goal initially, it's so funny. I think we've talked about this once before, because we usually go back and repeat, or we don't really repeat, but we regurgitate ideas that we come up with, because everything's interconnected here. We talked about the 88 Quarterly, 4 times a year magazine, using the 88 moniker and an addition to the value that we add to the agents, right? Mm-hmm. But in a whole, the company 88 Realty exists to add value to the marketplace. So the first and foremost, using this magazine, was to add value to the reader, to the user, to the client. It started out as a small publication. We were just going to produce like a little 12-page magazine that kind of had a little bit of content in it, but was good just to kind of hand out as a more of a flip-through brochure / magazine. And then the vision grew inside my head, and I was like, well, why not have this, just make it its own thing, its own entity, its own functioning, team and everything. And so since then, we've launched it, and we've put in 9 months of really hard work into it, I guess. And there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming. It's online, but we're talking about doing some some really cool stuff with it in the next several months, which is going to be a part of the 88 Realty bump as well.
Right.
But it's designed to bring value to the consumer or the reader, which are the clients and or just the general public. It's also designed to bring value to the agents and or professionals or other writers who produce the written content that goes into it. And thirdly, it's there to add value to the marketplace in the vendors, suppliers, and advertisers that wish to put an ad in the magazine. They're reaching a real estate centric audience because there's no car lots, restaurants, hospitals, doctors, plastic surgery clinics, dental. There's nothing in there like that. Mm-hmm. It's only about real estate. It's only adding value in the real estate space: homes, land, commercial, everything. And we've got the next issue that's about to come out is got 13 stories, 13 articles, whatever you want to call them.
Now, and all articles are written in-house, too. It's not like they were
everything is written in-house. However, everything is 100% edited in-house, right? But some of the agents are writing, some of the professionals that advertise or they're in the real estate space that have aligned themselves with us are working on their own content. We bring that content in-house, and then we kind of edit it a little bit. And we do light editing, heavy editing of vendor copy and things like that. But it's a blast, but it's a ton of work. And yes, all of the content that's in this publication is produced by the media team, managed by the media team, handled by the media team, orchestrated, thought out, and executed right down to, we don't print them back there in the back, but when it goes out of here, it's a print-ready publication, and we get the copies in, and they start going. It lives online in a digital version. The digital version is about to be extremely enhanced, which is kind of cool because, like, some of the enhancements might be there's an image on a story that you read about interior design or how to organize your furnishings for the holidays for the best use of space by your visitors. But there's a chair in the picture, and you go, "Ooh, that chair is really cool." And if you hover over that chair, it tells you the make, the manufacturer, the style, and where you can locate it. And you can click that link and go directly there to purchase said chair if you're that interested, right? So little pieces of information like that are buried inside the electronic version just make that thing come alive online. There's some other little tidbits in there too. I won't spit out yet, but they have to do with listening and watching. I'll go that far.
Tease.
Yeah, a little teaser on the 88 Quarterly.
Awesome. Well, I'm feeling happier.
Yeah, I am too, man. It's the best of times. It's the worst of times. 2020 is not a year I want to forget. 2020, I learned. I can't wait till next year, or I can't wait for a few months from now when we get to talk about all of the lessons learned and all the things that came out of 2020 that are good, that had 2020 not happened in the way that it went down, some of those things would have never happened.
Right.
I mean, never thought of, right?
Right.
Or not thought of until some sort of tragedy happened inside an organization or inside a family or inside a financial institution or an educational institution. I mean, our minds have been expanded in strange and crazy ways during these crazy times. But that shit's going to bear fruit. Good stuff,
Teaser for the last podcast of 2020.
That's right. Teaser. That's a bunch of teasers. Anyway, yeah. Good stuff, man. Well, we're super proud of you and all that you've been able to accomplish. You have a vast network of people because of your background in comedy, and you're well liked in the community. For those that know you personally, I don't think you have any enemies that I'm aware of. And, when you do your gigs and do your shows with your comedy group, it's always sold out or well received, if nothing else. And that's paying dividends in your professional thing, your gig now, you're professional with the real estate. And that's only going to continue to grow. I think I've said this a number of times, but you have to be like extremely driven over here on this side. But on this side, you have to be extremely patient, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so on this side of my brain, or however you want to look at it, one side of my brain, I'm flying 90 miles an hour, starting companies, doing deals, making things happen, producing magazines and podcasts. Everything's flying over here. But on this side over here is the long game. And there's a benchmark every so often. There's a benchmark. It's not like benchmark. You know, it's not like that. And so on one side of my brain, I'm extremely patient, extremely calm, very focused and dialed in on where we're headed. But over here on this side, I'm like, today it's magazine, tomorrow it's this, tomorrow it's that. We got to do this. There's a fire to put out. We have to, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's a pretty cool place to be. And your professional life, you've had this big win. You've jumped into the system. I want you to still have that long goal with all those extended benchmarks. But then I want you to knock out this little stuff, this low-hanging fruit. This
I have to. Because, like, especially now that we're kind of getting into a slower season, I'm looking at it like 2020 was just the first game. You know, 2021 is a brand new game.
Yeah.
You know, slate's white clean. I still got to hustle.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
Did you have any closings in 19 after your license? Just nothing.
First closing
Zero
was
business.
February 2020.
That's great.
So that's why I'm considering my first year is 2020.
Yeah. So you can always look back in the annals of time and say, I started my real estate career in 2020. And people will go, oh, it'll be like a big crowd shocker, you know?
Yeah, because I think I had my first closing in February, and then COVID happened. And I was like, crap, I'm going to have to just scale back to 1.5 as my goal, probably.
Yeah.
No.
No. You doubled it and killed it.
So,
and one thing that's neat about the launch of something in 2020, because we've launched like 4 new things already this year in 2020. And I'll probably launch 2 or 3 more before the end of the year. And it's just like, why wait? Like, don't wait for the year to be over. Wear a mask, get out there and work and do your thing. Don't stop. Don't slow down. Keep going. If you were laid off, figure out another income source. Figure out a way to do it. Figure out a way to make money. Start a new career. Take out some online classes and get your real estate license. I don't know. Shit. Something.
Man. I'm going to go on a rant.
Uh-oh.
There's this guy that's on, there's this person that's on social media that quit their job to protect their family from COVID, which is understandable.
Sure.
But now they're just playing the complete victim card.
Ooh.
They're having to sell all their creative equipment, stuff like that. They're like, I can't find a job remote, stuff like that, and just playing the victim card.
Wow.
And I'm like, no, get on Fiverr.
What kind of equipment are they selling?
Photography equipment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it local?
Kind of.
Oh, we might be interested in buying some of that equipment.
Actually, might be interested in talking to him. But anyway, he's looking for remote stuff. But, I'm thinking, okay, cool. If you want something remote and you're creative, get on Fiverr. People are hiring people off Fiverr all the time.
Dude, it's the deal is like, and I'm not going to pick on that party because I have no idea what the situation is. But if you have a device or a piece of equipment or a talent or anything, go trade your talent for food if you have to, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Don't sit at the house and whine. Go to Brookshire's and be like, I'll take pictures of all your stores and I'll do this or I'll do that, or I'll take pictures of your family if you'll just feed me. Like, it's called bartering. Shit works.
And if that's what you're doing, you're becoming an entrepreneur. You're making your own rules.
Yeah.
You tell your customer, look, this is my protocol for COVID, and this is how I'm going to operate.
Yeah.
I'm coming in when your store is about to close. There's nobody there, and I'm taking pictures of stuff.
Right. And so I just don't try to make any excuses. I try to produce solutions.
Right.
And I'm not too proud to not go back out there and grind it.
Right.
It's like if my family's hungry, I'm going to find a way to feed them. Mm-hmm. Period. Full stop. Going to. If I got to go split firewood and stand on the side of the road and sell stacks of wood for $10 a pop, I'll do that. I don't want to because I've done it already, but I would do that. It's hard to sell firewood in the summertime, but you just change your marketing plan. You stand on the side of the road with little stacks of wood that you split in smaller pieces, and you call it campfire wood because it's fucking summer. Yep. I mean, come on, people.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, just think.
Adapt.
Through the problem and work it out. And there's all kinds of ways to barter. I mean, it's as rudimentary as, hey, if I do this for you, can you buy me lunch? Sure, cool, I'll do that. If you're a business and you have a need and your need's not being fulfilled, then put the word out and do a barter with those people. Look, we have a need for somebody to clean our office because our housekeeper got COVID, our office cleaning staff got COVID or won't come to work because of COVID. We need a cleaning crew, but we also do graphic design or we also do whatever we do, and we'll trade, Figure it out. Just no excuses, man. No excuses. Don't we have a podcast called No Excuses? Pretty sure we did.
Yeah,
insert
pretty
a
sure.
clip. Insert a clip from that right here.
Excuses.
How do you feel about excuses? How do you overcome excuses? Like, if you're starting to get sick and you don't want to go to the gym, do you just make yourself do it?
Yes.
All right, guys, that's our podcast.
That's it. So I go to the gym 3 days a week, 5 a.m. Probably one out of those three. I mean, I'm already up, but I'm like, oh, man, really? Like, but you just go. Once you get there, the excuse is over. Once you're there, you're in it. I think it's just the getting there. But once you're there, your mind, I think something clicks in your mind and you're ready to go. Yeah, excuses are hardcore, man. You can make excuses for everything. It's passing the buck. You have to point the finger at yourself continually. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This has been the Everything I Know podcast.
One more time. Try again.
This has been the Everything That I Know podcast.
Try again.
This has been the Everything That I Know podcast.
All right, that's good enough. See ya.